What's shaking there, my boys in the YTPC? And I say my boys because recently I looked at my analytics and 100% of you guys are gentlemen. So me saying ladies and gentlemen literally appealed to no one. Anyway, I was just really glad today that I got, all the attention that I've been getting over those packages that I got last night, and how cool what everybody's thought of that Clay Peterson system pipe, and that a lot of guys didn't know they existed and whatnot. Which recently there was one on eBay that went on auction, and actually if you look online there's an article about it, and it's an egg shape, and I read the article and it was the exact one on auction because the guy restored it that sold it on auction. Anyway, it was too rich for my blood at the time, and so I passed on it, thankfully, because it had some chips or something like that. I wasn't digging the shape. And honestly, the shape that this one is in isn't, sorry about that, guys. The shape that this one is in, the actual shape, isn't necessarily my favorite, but of the two, it's the better. It's the thicker one, doesn't get as hot. It's the preferred of the two. So naturally, after reading that article, I got really excited about it. I ended up getting my tax return right there at that time. But the guy had it listed, buy it now. And it sat there for a couple week or two. Which is weird, because if it goes in, if that guy would have put it on auction, it would have sold in a week, and it would have sold for twice as much. I only paid $380 for that. And that seems like a lot, but I seen that unsmoked Aboriginal Peterson Meerschaum, similar to the one I have, but unsmoked and white with a fumed black top. Those are selling for between $400 and $500. $400 and $500 brand new. Those mirrors are, and those they made for a heck of a lot longer than they made the clay ones for. So, I'm not too worried about that. I know I got my money's worth. That a Peterson pipe that rare, and several of you guys didn't even know they existed. So that right there, I already know that I got it for a deal, even at $380 shipped. And I did try to talk him down. I did try to get him down to $200. Him being from Israel. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. He's just, knew what it was worth. But it was a really good find, one of the better finds I've had. I don't know if you guys have watched, or how many of you have watched all my videos, but I've lucked out a lot. I've made a lot of money off of the hobby of smoking pipes. I bought an unsmoked, new in the box, Peterson's Sherlock Holmes Watson from the original 1987 year, the first year they came out with it, before I was born. The original run, I bought a brand new one for like $120. Whoever was selling it had no clue what it was worth, no clue whatsoever. They just seen that's what Petersons were going for, and they threw it up there. They didn't hallmark it, anything. I did all the hallmarks. and I had the cash, and I snapped it up. And I think the thing is people just naturally assumed it wasn't the older ones, which the older ones, I don't understand how you would assume that, because the older ones came in a shiny green box with gold lettering. So, and now they come in regular Peterson boxes. So that kind of blew my mind, and I never did smoke out of it, and it did have the chuck marks in it. It still had the chuck marks that Peterson used to leave in their bowls. And matter of fact, that Meerschaum, that new one that sold last weekend, that had chuck marks in it too. So that's how you can tell if it's truly an unsmoked Peterson. If it's old enough to have the chuck marks and they're there, it's unsmoked. And that's what this was, this Sherlock Holmes one was. And honestly, I couldn't smoke it because in the back of my head, I thought, they sold these as a set where you could buy a stand that had a plaque and a little stand spot for every single pipe in the line. It had the Sherlock, it had the Watson, it had the Lestrade, it had all of them. Or Lestrand, or the Strand, and then Lestrade. It had all of them. And I was thinking, I guarantee you that there is somebody out there that has that whole set and is just missing a brand new Watson. So I never did smoke it. And that was my first Peterson. I bought it. I didn't even know that their Sherlock pipes and all their different pipes were system pipes. I had to do research. It was hard to find out. But, I just lucked out so hard for me to have come across and have had possession of an original run Watson from 1987. The year that they came up with the idea. I had one. I almost had an amber spigot, a sitter, the exact one I wanted. I waited for the exact one, but it came broken. And then also the K. Woody that I have, the K. Woody Meerschaum billiard, that I have done a lot of first impressions on. You guys know. Lot. That one I bought brand new, and the video is still up. You can still look this up. I bought it brand new and was the first smoker to smoke from it. So I know aromatics have never been smoked out of it. It's never been beaten up. It doesn't have any chips. It's in fantastic shape. I couldn't be more pleased. And I only paid $80 for that, and I won the auction. It was an auction. That's how big of a change has happened in the pipe tobacco world. You used to be able to get brand or new in the box, pretty much, or new old stock K. Woody Meerschaum 4-hole stingers for $80 and win the auction. You can still find deals like that today, but they're so rare. I mean, this is about as close as I can get to it. This carburetor, I think I paid $34 for that. That's an aged Briar with the long stinger, long 4-hole stinger. I paid $35 for that. That was a total. That totally flew under everyone's radar. Nobody knew what that was. Last night I won a Thorn, KBB Thorn. Totally flew under the radar because it didn't have a rock amber, a stem. I got a K Woody 4-hole Stinger K Woody Calabash one time for like $250. You know, because whoever sold it with another one, posted them at the exact same time or within 5 minutes of each other, so that when I lost the first one, I won the second one for half the price that the first one went for. And then I wasn't a big fan of it because it was you didn't get a ton of flavor out of it. It had a huge bowl that, you know, if you packed it full every time, you'd go through 2 ounces in a week if you smoked it every day. So, you know, it just didn't suit me. But it was a 4-hole Stinger, and it was so new that the clover was still offset. It was still offset from the factory. It hadn't even been broken in to where the clover centered up. So, you know, that thing was practically brand new. And I sold that for double what I paid for it not that long after. My Peterson Meerschaum, I know I've said this before, that sat on eBay, buy it now, for a month, as buy it now for $112. Those darn things are selling for $300 and $400 right now. For a used one in good shape, they are commanding $200, $300, $400 without a stem, for goodness sakes. It's craziness, you know, how it's almost like I've had to diversify a little bit and back away from strictly K Woodies or from collecting K Woodies, because they're not the steals they once were. I remember buying some K Woodies in bulk, buying like 3 or 4 billiards that had been, one of them was unsmoked, one had been smoked twice. I mean, I've got like a saddle bit pot billiardish oak stain K Woody 4-hole Stinger. I've got a billiard, a legit billiard with a saddle bit that's got the oak stain. Then I've got a regular vulcanite, no, not a saddle bit, a regular bit billiard with the red bar or the cherry stain. And then I think there's another one. There's a red one with a saddle bit. And I think I got 3 of them. And all 4-hole Stingers. One was never smoked, maybe even 2. And the third one was barely smoked at all. I think I paid like $45 for them. You know, it's just outrageous, you know, what's happened. I remember Thorns and KBBs have always been kind of tough to get. They have, you know, either you got to get one that's flying under the radar, or you got to get one at the right time when the person who would have normally started a bidding war with you spent their money on something. You got to get lucky. That's how I got my KBBs, my Rock Ambura stemmed Thorn, my Rock Ambura synchro stem panel billiard, my Rock Ambura Labatt that I broke with the long 4-hole Stinger. But you know, it's just, I just think back like how many times I got so absolutely lucky. And I've actually sold many pipes since I did videos 5 years ago. I got hurt in a motorcycle accident again after I stopped making videos, and I was out of work for 10 weeks, and I ended up having to sell. I think I ended up selling the Sherlock Holmes Watson, or at least I sold a Peterson Premier Darwin B42 or B52. 42 shape. I sold one of those. I think I sold some K Woodies. I think I sold a Meerschaum line K Woody. Just a few other odds and ends that I had sold that were somewhat valuable. I sold a Meerschaum Peterson, but it was purple and magenta. And the shape of it was outrageous. It was huge. The P-lip had a terrible bend to it. It didn't smoke very well. It was not the same pipe as my other K Woody Meerschaum is. It was not the same pipe at all. Not even close. It had more of a bent billiard, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. It had more of a bent billiard look. It wasn't an apple. It wasn't like the 302 shape or the bent apple like my other Meerschaums are. And what's funny is I bet it would be worth a lot right now, seeing how much they're going for. That somebody would probably snap that up now, or want to snap that up now, because of the coloring. Because I haven't seen another purple one like it in goodness knows how when. I can't even remember. Anyway, it's just over the years I've had so many good pipes, and some I didn't have the balls to smoke, like that Watson. That wasn't a P-lip, it was a fishtail, and I specifically got a fishtail because I had the P-lip Meerschaum, and I wanted a Peterson that didn't shoot smoke to the roof of my mouth, because sometimes if you smoke P-lip over and over and over, the roof of your mouth ends up getting beat. It ends up getting beat up. Versus, taking a break with a fishtail and the roof of your mouth getting a bit of a break, which is kind of nice when that's the case. So I got a fishtail, and it was brand new Watson, and I just couldn't bring myself. I mean, it had the sock, it had the box, it had all the accoutrements, all the documentation, the stamp on the sides, or on the one side. I mean, it wasn't something that I could honestly bring myself to smoke. It was too complete. At least with the K Woody, there was no box. There was a lot of stuff. It was just the pipe with the K Woody. Whereas with that Sherlock, it was like you just walked into a store and purchased it. It had absolutely no oxidation on the stem, and neither did the K Woody Meerschaum either. Which I've noticed, last night confirmed it. A lot of these resellers do is they polish these pipes, and after the first smoke, they must use carnauba wax or carnauba wax, because after the first smoke, bam, all of a sudden oxidation shows up towards the end of the bit where people clench. Same thing happened with the Canadian. I smoked it once, boom, all of a sudden oxidation shows up. So I realized that people are really they're trying to make them look restored, or make them look presentable without restoring them, which I prefer, by the way. I don't want restored pipes. Every time I've gotten a restored pipe, I just kind of felt, shall we say, cheated. Like they didn't do all that good of a job at restoring it, or they went too far when they restored it. Like I've got an old K Woody flame grain with a long 4-hole stinger, and whoever refurbished it, first of all, whoever owned it originally, gouged the heck out of the rim with a knife, and that just kills me. And then whoever owned it, or whoever restored it, decided they were going to ream it down to the wood. And to me, if you ream it down to the wood, you just increase the diameter of that pipe. You just altered that pipe. You know, it was to exact specifications of the company that produced it until you reamed it, or until it got reamed. To me, I've never liked that billiard. I've never smoked it much. It's always been a little bit of a feather in the cap, for the simple fact that it's got a long stinger, and it's flame grain, and it's got really beautiful grain, and it's in really beautiful shape. And anyway, you know, it is a feather in my cap, but it's a shame what the guy who restored it did to it. But anyway, guys, I gotta let y'all go. I'm here at the scrap yard. I'm fixing to scrap some metal. But I'll go ahead and post this, and I'll probably do a video later on tonight. So until then, I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a good afternoon. Hope everything works out for you. Drive safe. Be safe. And keep on chooching. Biggity bam.